Hello everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. My name is Megan and welcome back to Tuesdays where we will delve into episode 14 of Curse of Strahd. This title is The Old Windmill. And we have a volunteer to do the recap, well, as much as she can, and the rest I will help out with. So, Karen, take it away.
It was good. And then we went out. I'm very bad at remembering stuff that wasn't pertaining to me, so just saying. And then we went out and we went through. No, we met somebody. Some woman came to door. I was still sleeping, so I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but she came to door. This is where I'm going to tag team somebody.
So you met who is known locally as Mad Mary, though they would never say that to her face. And she implored you to help find her daughter Gertruda, who left because she was locked up all the time, would not be let out from under Mary's or her mother's grasp, was never let outside, and eventually one night, just left with her dog, Lancelot.
Which is one dog is now in possession of Fel. Fel is loving this dog and will not give it up. So agreed to go find daughter, I believe. And there was some mention of some deaths too, of boys on the outside of town, drained dry or something.
Mm-hmm.
I did not really hear, but it was good like that. But we decided to, who cares, and go on anyway. We did. We just went whatever. And we went out, and then we met man that apparently both Fel and Eli had known before. And there was like big argument and fisticuffs almost came out. And Fel, I haven't seen her so angry since house, but it ended okay. Eventually he took us to gypsy camp, or Vistani camp, I guess is what there should be called, because that's what they like. And we went and met old woman who, there was lots of drink too, so this is going to be a little bit choppy, I think. There was lots of drink, lots of good stuff, and then there was cards, but they were strange cards. They told us futures, and yeah, they didn't make much sense to me. But we each had card read, and I do not remember all the cards.
That's all right.
I do.
Eli had not drank as much as us at this point, so he might remember. I will pass it to him.
The cards that we were drawn was a card that told of history, and there was a card with two faces on it, one black and one white, two children, and it said, you will know what you are searching for there. There was another card about a powerful force for good and protection. It was a holy symbol and a man in chains. No, the man in chains, the anarchist, wall of bones, a chandelier of bones, a table of bones. These are the images that came to my mind as these cards were drawn, and also the shorthand notes that I took. Card of power and strength, Two skeletons with a puppeteer. A woman hangs above a roaring fire. Find her to find the treasure. There was another card that was a skull in a jar. Look for an entertaining man with a monkey. He is more than he seems. And a man's head with eyes covering his head waits for you in a place of warmth, comfort, great despair.
Yeah, that was excellent. That is exactly what the card reading said. And I believe that is where we ended with you guys, with Madam Eva imparting some troubling words to some of you, comforting words to others. And you guys were free to spend the night in the Vistani camp. And so it's the morning. You can already hear the sounds of the clanging of bells and pots and pans. You can hear the whinnying of horses. You can smell cooking on a fire. What smells like fresh fruit being cut. What smells like fresh meat being grilled. You can still smell the wine from last night. But a smell you do not inhale. And a smell that you know that you miss. For those of you who ate of the pie, you do not smell that. And your mind wanders to it. Your mind cannot seem to escape the wanting, the yearning for another taste of that pie. I need everyone who ate the pie to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
I got big whopping 4.
16.
I got a 10.
Megan, I don't think I've asked this before because I'm dumb. But does this count as a poison save?
No, it is not.
Okay. Being a dwarf, that seemed irrelevant.
So, Corla, you... Anatoly, what did you get again?
10. I got a 10.
Okay, so both you and Corla, you have disadvantage on all skill checks. Eli, you feel your stomach grumbling for food in general, but you had such a restful sleep, a restful night. If you were to open your eyes, you would see and come out of your respective tents. You would see the camp is already busy, filled with people, men, women, children running about. You can even hear some of the Vistani singing. This place is filled with warmth and happiness and the livelihood that you have not met in a very long time. It seems as though this happiness has extended far beyond the night's revelry. Anatoly, What would you be doing in the morning?
Anatoly, he wakes up in the morning. He doesn't feel well, so he goes out and just kind of looks about, and probably goes to retch in near a tree, and kind of just get it out of his system, and look around and see. I mean, this has not been a place of happiness for him in the past, for different reasons. So he looks, he covers himself, puts his hood, worries about anybody's watching him too long. He kind of moves away. But in general, he looks like he wants to do something. He's trying to figure something out to do, but he just doesn't know what to do, because in general, he wakes up in the mornings and cuts some wood, helps some people in Barovia, and this is not Barovia. It seems happy, but it's not happy to him. He seems dour and possibly sad, so he kind of sticks around to near where the group is at staying, and just sits in a log or something and just waits it out, see what we're doing.
And it's only you feel a hand as you sit on the log. You feel a hand on your shoulder. Cold.
What?
Bony.
What?
You turn around and you see the face of Madam Eva. How was your walk, Anatoly?
Oh, I turned pale for a second, wondering if she recognizes me, as she's seen me, but not like this. And I kind of stay pale and just I stare at her eyes, those eyes that have seen me before and have told me before what would happen to me. And I kind of stammer, I don't, it's fine. The walk's fine.
I see you have made some new friends.
We've what new friends we have never met.
Don't play games with me. I'm
different
too
now.
old.
What do you want?
Different.
Different, yes.
Are you sure?
I'm not here to hurt anybody. That's the past.
The past has a funny way of coming back. Again and again.
I stand up and kind of walk away from her. Stop bringing the past back. I don't want it. I don't need it. Please don't do what you did last time. Please, I beg you. And I look around to see if anybody's watching.
Is anyone watching?
I would imagine there's a chance that Eli might see something. Because I'm probably outside doing part of my morning routine, which is to check my weapons and clean them, clean the blades, and clean righteous indignation.
I believe Corla would also have been watching, because she is just that much paranoid and untrusting of people. So,
And you would maybe not hear the conversation that Madam Eva and Anatoly had, but you see him walking away, and you see a smile on Madam Eva's face. Not the smile isn't sinister. The smile is more full of sadness and grief than anything else. A mask of sorts, but a mask thinly veiled and extremely easy to see through.
Is she still standing in front of me?
You walked away from her, so your back is to her.
Okay.
But if you were to look back, she would still be kind of standing there, just looking at you.
Yeah, got it. I keep looking back at her. I'm a little worried that she's going to, do something. and I end up in back to the tree where I just threw up at, and just kind of not sure where to go at the moment. Kind of just standing around, loitering, basically.
Madam Eva would approach the rest of you one by one, and she would produce a small item wrapped in cloth. She would approach you first, Eli. A gift I have for all of you.
A gift?
For each of you, yes, I have a gift.
You honor us, madam.
Your intentions are purer than most. You, Eli, have to make sure you do not lose yourself while trying to save others. And she would give Eli this small bundle. This was once worn by my son. He is no longer, and this has just been collecting dust. And I would like it to be used for good and have a purpose once again. I want its colors to be shown. I apologize, it is probably not your style, but it was made by the Vistani elders from a piece of each of their tents and from their ancestors' tents. And if you were to open it, would you open it right there?
Yeah, I absolutely would. And not wanting to be rude or cause any issues with this tradition. I absolutely would.
And you see before you a robe, more of a jacket. And it is just made out of every single color and type of fabric that you could imagine, patchwork together. And you can see it doesn't look poorly put together. In fact, quite the opposite. It looks amazingly put together and fashioned. It almost seems as though each color bleeds into the other one, and you can barely see the seam lines. And the colors almost blend together in what you would imagine an aurora would look like. Blues and greens and purples all melding together. And as you move the coat, it almost seems to move with you. The light reflecting and making it seem to almost glow. And you see tiny little symbols etched into different parts of the jacket. And Madam Eva says, each of these patches you may pull from your coat, and they will help you with your journey. And you got a robe of useful items.
Well, this, again, madam, you truly honor me. I will wear this with pride. And then I will bow to her. Thank you. And then I will proceed to figure out how in the heck I'm going to hide this multicolored robe under my clothing.
Yeah, it is. Despite it is beautiful, but it is quite garish to look at. But it reflects very much the Vistani clothing, the bright colors and It would look very in place with a Vistani, but very much out of place anywhere else.
All right.
She would then move to Fel. And she would produce another package, another small cloth wrapped. And for you, Fel, the power I sense in you is quite strong. It is going to be useful, but be careful. You have two paths ahead of you. A path of darkness, of hatred, veiled as ambition, or a path of light, veiled in humility, but also maybe veiled in weakness. But you have to learn to see through that, Fel. I have for you the branch or part of a very old tree. From at one time when Barovia was not like this. A time before. A time when it prospered. A time when we were free. And she hands it to you. The package to you, Fel.
I imagine that Fel, unlike maybe the others last night, she did not partake in the revelry. She probably didn't end up sleeping in the same area as the rest of the group. She moved off by herself with Lancelot. And so I imagine she's maybe a little further away from the group even now. And she takes the tree branch in her hands, and she looks up to the madam and she says, "Can I ask you something?"
Of course, my child. What is it?
And her nails kind of sink into the wood, and as she says, "Are you sure the only way out of here is to kill Strahd, like you told us the other night?"
She looks at you for a long moment. She is rolling around the answer in her mind, you can tell, and she looks at you, Fel. There is no other way that I can see. But I must admit that my sight is limited when it comes to Strahd. I cannot see as well in the future when he is directly involved.
I'm going to have Fel make an insight check, though I personally think that she's telling the truth, but I just think because of everything that we've endured at the hands of the Vistani, she's going to make an insight check just to see if Madam Eva is telling the truth about killing Strahd being the only way that she is aware of, even though her vision is somewhat clouded by the man himself. That's not terrible. That is pretty terrible. That's an 11.
She is being honest with you. She thinks that you must destroy who Strahd is.
And Fel nods slowly, her hands sort of unclasping from around the branch, and she says, "I hope it won't come to that. She kind of smiles and looks around the camp a little nervously. I've never actually killed someone before. Thank you. It's good to know that not everybody that we have, not everybody that we've encountered in this land has betrayed us after we have attempted to help them. It's good to know there are decent people, I suppose, out here in Barovia.
You must show these people some kindness, Vel, and understanding. They have lived in a world they cannot escape from, with a demon lord, or so they think, is a demon lord who rules over them, and whether it is true or not, they believe he causes them all their misery.
Well, and she'll stand up, sort of scritching Lancelot behind the ears as she does. If I've learned anything from my brief, unpleasant time in this land so far, it's that people make their own choices one way or the other. But thank you. And hopefully we can do this.
She nods. Do you open the little cloth thing in front of her?
Absolutely.
So yeah, you would find this. It looks extremely old. This small part of this tree, and it hasn't been whittled down or anything. You can see the snap point of where it was broken off, and it comes to a point at the end. But despite it being so old, it appears to be very, very strong. Blackened on the outside, but you can feel the power within it. And
Fel will kind of run her hands over the grooves in the wood and just say, thank you, Madam Eva. I appreciate everything you've done for us. And for this, of course.
she just nods and goes to move on. And you get Wand of the War Mage. +1. She moves then to Jean. For you, Jean. I know what I said to you was probably not what you wanted to hear last night. But do not take it as a condemnation of your fate. For many readings are quite ambiguous. They see death and light and life all together as one. What may seem like darkness for one is light for another. So take comfort in that. All this will come to pass.
And Jean is a bit almost surprised and startled by Madam Eva here, as she is currently dressing a wound across her shoulder and chest, peeling back layers of bandages, casting the bloodied and discarded ones and applying fresh ones over her chest. And looking up at Madam Eva, talking, startled her, but gives her a nod. Thank you, I guess. She does not seem very comforted by her words.
I have something for you.
Huh?
And she just kind of hands her this small, very, very small cloth.
What is this? As she holds up her hand to grab it.
A gift for you, to aid you on your journey.
That's very kind, thank you. And she'll look down at the bundle and then look back up at Eva's face.
Madam Eva has already turned to leave as soon as you look up.
Then quickly, Jean, as she leaves, will draw the tent again to hide herself, as she is not armored, nor even moderately clothed at this point, as she's still trying to wrap her wounds, and unbundles this bundle.
You find an ivory rook
She thumbs this small chest piece and looks at it deep in thought as her thumb kind of traces the woodwork. Well, not even the woodwork in this case, the texture of this chess piece. Since she grips it tight.
You can feel
stows it away.
You can feel the power within it. And for mechanicalness, you get a Rod of the Pact Keeper.
Ooh. Perfect. Now she'll continue getting ready for the morning.
And then Madam Eva goes to you, Corla. Corla, I have a gift for you.
For me?
Yes. And she would reach down, and you would see that she brings out 2 amulets. One is this beautiful emerald in the center, lined with gold filigree and gold chains around it. A spring gem for a spring child.
Madam Eva, but why?
I am old, Corla. I have seen many like you come and go. But I have not seen, as of yet, just the tenacity of your group. And I want to help you. I want to free this world. She pauses at the word free as if she was going to say something else. But she almost corrects herself quickly. This land.
Corla would tentatively, I guess, reach out to this amulet that the woman is holding. I thank you. I hope that your hopes are not misplaced in us.
For you, Corla, I have this advice. People have different motivations. They have different reasons for doing things that may seem evil at the time, thoughtless, selfish. But you have to understand that there is always a sacrifice that they made. Whether it is sacrifice to another, sacrifice to themselves, or sacrifice to their own person. You have already gone through that. But in a land like this, people's motives may not always seem reasonable or clear.
And I think when you're saying this to her, Carla can't help herself, but she looks over to Jean's tent when you're saying that. And then looks back at Madam Eva. I am hearing you. I will try to keep that in mind. But I cannot promise I will learn.
She just nods. You need to find your own path. The ramblings of an old woman don't need have much precedent over your life. This amulet will keep you safe. And she hands you the other one. This one is blue, this brilliant, almost sapphire color. But instead of having a gold filigree around it, this one almost seems to have like this black metal that you can't quite place what it is. Believe it or not, these gems were cut from the same rock. Give this one to Anatoly. He does not wish to speak to me at the moment. Hopefully he will come to an understanding in time, but I cannot force it. Tell him that this amulet serves to remind him of his true name.
Corla would hold out her hand as the woman is passing this to her. You are trusting me with this? You honored niece. Madam, we will do our best here for the people in this land. I do not know what that means, honestly, but if you think we are hope here, we will try. At least, I cannot speak for others, but I will try. You have shown great kindness today.
She nods, and she kind of calls out in this little area where you guys are. Safe travels to you all. And she goes to return to her tent. Also, these two magic items are the same. They I don't know the word of wound closure. Periapt.
Yeah, you got it. Periapt.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Periapt of wound closure.
As soon as Madam Eva had disappeared, Corla would actually search out Anatoly. I have something for you, Anatoly.
Right. Yeah.
And she would hold out this this amulet that has the blue gem with the black.
What's
metal.
this? You all right?
It's
I don't need payment for my
no,
company.
this is not from me. I
Oh.
I am not that generous. You'll trust me. It is to remind you of your name.
Oh. Who gave you this then? If it's not from you.
I think Carla at this she would hesitate, and she would try to give it to you first before she says.
All right. Anatoly grabs it, worried about the words, and looks at it.
It is from Madam Eva.
And I kind of jump back a little bit and look at it.
But
I
no,
see.
no. She means well. She knew you would not take it from her, but is gift generously given.
Thank you. I hope that perhaps our past is no longer tainted by my actions. Story for another time.
It's a story I would love to hear. But you're right. Another time.
Right. Thank you, Korla.
Yes.
I see. Thank you. This is most people in these lands would not take something for someone else and not just keep it instead. These lands are more than just cursed by some demon lord, but they're cursed by the dark hearts of men and women.
It's true. And before you can say anything else or see the look on her face, Corla turns and leaves, knowing in her heart that if it had been any other time, she would have kept it.
Antoli puts it in his pack for now and try to figure it out later. And just goes back to the camp and begins to do whatever needs to be done. Starts picking up stuff, have we eaten yet breakfast by any chance? Because if we haven't, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping something.
Yeah, you're able to. You are offered from the Vistani food from their own cooking fires. But if you do not, you can find a unlit cooking fire, unused cooking fire to light yourself and make breakfast if you would like. So it's up to you guys.
I'm gonna eat some Vistani vittles.
I am with Eli on that one.
I'll definitely eat.
Yeah, Fel would rejoin the group a little later. At that point, sort of probably sitting on the other side of Anatoly or Korla.
I mean,
Jean,
it's not a pie, but
Jean leaves her tent all dressed in her armor. Goes with the rest of the group.
So you guys eat.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If you
No,
want
you're good.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
So you guys eat, and the Vistani give you one small barrel of wine and about 2 days worth of rations for each of you before they bid you.
One small barrel of wine for the group or each?
Each. Like it's like a little barrel, right? Each.
Like a mini keg.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Each, yes.
A cask.
Yes, a cask.
All right.
I imagine that Eli probably picks the biggest one out of the 5. Oh, that's one mine! Ha ha ha.
Yeah. That's what I sound like.
One of the Vistani says to you as he's loading up these casks in your little wooden cart that you brought along. You will learn that wine is a popular point of trade in these parts in Barovia. We are known for this kind of... Well, if Barovia is known for anything, it is their wine. Be careful. Guard this with your life. Vistani wine is some of the best you can find.
True enough. Thank you very much.
And if does anyone want to do anything else in the camp before you guys head out?
At some point, I imagine, kind of while we are loading our belongings into the cart, maybe figuring out what the day's plans are. At some point, Eli, you would hear a whisper, even though I imagine Fell's probably on the other side of the wagon with Lancelot. You would hear a whisper that sounds like Fell's voice that only you can hear, just say, "We need to talk at some point, maybe when we're stopped along the road. I have a concern that I need to discuss with you. You can respond to this message."
As long as we can talk face to face, as that would be preferred over whatever this is.
And Fell kind of peeks around the wagon, and you would kind of see the veins around her mouth are sort of a little black, but they're sort of fading back to their regular color. And she just nods once, and then goes back to tending to Lancelot and putting her meager belongings in the cart.
With Lancelot, the night before, they had insisted, you have seen that they treat their animals very well, and the Vistani will often adorn their animals with different ribbons and baubles and all that kind, like cloths and blankets. And so you would see that Lancelot now is adorned with all of these different just like bits and baubles of ribbon and yeah.
I imagine Phil kind of notices this probably for the first time, shakes her head and says to Lancelot, "You look ridiculous." And she pauses. Or ridiculously handsome, I guess. All right, let's go.
And as you leave, your cart is followed by a bunch of Vistani children who play their cymbals, and they sing this song that you can't understand. It's in their native tongue, but it is filled with happiness and joy as they dance. And eventually your cart keeps going until you can no longer see the children dancing and singing. And then even their music fades and fog begins to set in. And you hear nothing but the silence. Oh, yes, Irina is also with you. She's accompanying you. You hear just silence for a very long time. Until you hear the sound of running water. And you see where the path is cut off by a large river. A large, fast-flowing river. And you see that above you, about 1,000 feet up, you didn't even know that you were going downhill all of this time, is a wooden bridge. But there is no visible way to cross this river.
Is the bridge not intact?
It is intact. It's just 1,000 feet up.
Oh, gotcha.
It's very high up.
Does this road just end at the river?
It does.
How wide is the river?
The river, I would say, is actually, I can look. I have a module for this that I should be running from. It does not say. So I'm going to say that I don't know what's a good size for a river.
5 feet.
It's very fast flowing. It is very small.
Is it like the Saskatchewan River here?
Yeah.
So it'd be about 50 feet across to 100?
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I am bad for scale. But so yeah, so it's about 50 feet across.
Well, shucks. Yeah, if I remember correctly, if you're going off of the hex map that came in the module, I think those hexes are like a quarter mile each. So if the river's showing up on that map, it's been a long time since I've looked at it. Then yeah, that makes sense. This is probably a pretty big river.
Yep.
Well,
That's odd. Vistani didn't mention this as we left.
Well, they seem to specialize in lies of omission, I suppose. Anyway, we have rope that we could use potentially to, I don't know, maybe lash ourselves together. I don't know how we're going to get the cart over is the problem. The river's moving pretty fast. I don't think we're going to be able to just ford it.
Right. Isn't there another Megan, quick question. There's another if we don't go through the Vistani camp, is there another way to Vallaki?
Yes. You guys came to a bit of a crossroads that Stanimir was telling you about to go to the pool, but you did see on your way that there was another way to go, and you would estimate that is probably where the bridge. But that is going to, because it was about, it took a couple, like a good, probably about 3 or 4 hours for you to get from that crossroads to the Vistani pool. Or the Sayre pool, which is at the Vistani campsite. So
How much time from the Vistani camp to this location?
to this location, probably about an hour.
So Anatoly kind of seems to be doing some form of math in his head and says, I believe we might have to go back to the crossing. It might take us 4 to 5 hours to get there.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah, I guess that's not much choice in it. I mean, I suppose we could follow the river a ways, or is that going to take us nowhere near where we're trying to get?
I look at Irina to see if she has any input, and then I look down the river. Does the river look like it goes back up? It has a slope up and eventually hits the road that goes above us?
So Irina shakes her head, she shrugs her shoulders, and she says, I've never been out of Barovia, I'm sorry. But Anatoly, you have. And you would know that if you do follow the river, eventually it will meet back up with the with the road that had branched off the last time. But you have to go through along the riverbank is very dangerous and steep, and you do have to go through a lot of dense forest. Or like dense forest will be on either side of you.
So do I think the cart will not make it then for sure?
The cart probably will not make it.
Okay. If we follow the river, we'll meet with a lot of dense forest, and I don't think we'll be able to make it through. It might take us about the same time or worse, and it gets dangerous in the forest around here. I think we should go back.
Well, all right. And as we start get turned around, I would kind of fall in step with Fel. Looks like we're going to have a little while to chat.
And she smiles a little nervously down at you and says, "It looks like it. Might be best to wait until we make camp for the night, though. I'm sure we'll have watches and we can take a watch together."
All right.
And she'll actually pick up the pace just a little bit.
So you walk back, and this walk is a bit tougher than the last because you are going uphill now, and you have to pull this cart behind you. But you do eventually make it back. Takes a little bit longer. And you get back to where the Vistani camp was. But you see nothing. Save for one lone tent. Tent you recognize as Madam Eva's. You do see the evidence of the Vistani there, with the leftover cooking fires and various other bits of stuff that has been left behind, but you see no singing children, no people dancing around, or even any of the horses. It looks much more somber now. Do you keep going? Past the Vistani camp?
I mean, unless Anatoly or
I keep going.
somebody else says otherwise.
Yeah, I keep trekking, and yeah, I'll try to be in front.
Jean's got a spring to her step or a vigor to her movement because she doesn't want to have any kind of delay out here in the hinterlands of Barovia.
Hey, Megan, I rolled a couple of 20s here because I have disadvantage on survival, but both rolled 12. That helps to try to speed up the pace if possible. That's a 15 total.
You know, with the 15, I would say that from the Vistani camp, you think that you could navigate through the trees to a shortcut. That would
I'll take it out.
half the time.
I'll go ahead and take it. I just keep moving that way. Hopefully everybody's following me.
You see Anatoly start heading off the main road and into the forest. Do you follow him? Or do you say anything?
Anatoly, where are you going? The road's that way.
We can cut some time if you go through here quickly.
Is the cart going to be able to fit among all the trees?
I look around. I believe so. It's a short trek. Saves us some time.
All right, I guess.
So it is pretty steep, but not unsurmountable. If you guys take your time, it will probably take about 3 hours to get through this forest, but you will be like way ahead of the break of the T of the path diverge, and you will be on the main road. If you are trying to hurry and cut that time down, I would need everyone to make athletics.
So if we don't roll athletics, it's a 3 hour, but we cut some time off. But if we roll athletics, we can get it better.
Yeah, it would probably, you could, if you roll well with your athletics, I would say you'd probably need 3 successes. You could cut that time down by an hour.
Okay, so 3 successes between the party. Correct?
Yeah, 3 successes for the whole party. Yeah.
Got it. All right.
And that would include Irina.
I got a 14 on my athletics for Jean.
I got a 3.
Whew, I
Not
got
helping
lucky.
here.
Oh, the 16 out of 12. My 12 is with athletics. I got it right. 12 is
So I forgot
17.
I forgot that I had disadvantage, but I rolled a 4 on the first one anyway. The second one was better.
I rolled a
17.
14. I don't understand why. Oh, you long legs are trying to rush through here.
So you guys have a hard time of it. It's rough. And as it gets steeper up, you find that the cart, you're having to almost lift it straight vertically up with some of these hills you have to climb. But Irina seems to be holding her own. She really seems to be showing the strength that maybe you didn't expect her to have as someone who had spent her whole life not out in the wilderness. And you guys do get your successes, and you are able to make it up the incline in about 2 hours. And it's hard going, and you are all tired, but you make it to the main road.
Please tell me we're not going to be traveling at this pace all the time.
Yeah, no. I think we've spent our time trying to avoid the penumbra that follows us.
That was a hell of a shortcut.
You continue your way. The incline is much less, but it is still there. And you keep walking. And when you reach the bridge that you had seen, and you can even see down below the river, many feet down, and you are able, if you would like, to cross it, and it is about getting to the later half of midday.
Does the bridge look sturdy?
It looks old and a little rickety, but
That's
pretty
the
sturdy.
opposite of what I said.
It's a wooden bridge or stone bridge?
It is a wooden bridge.
Okay.
Maybe we try one at a time just to be safe.
Jean
Yeah.
will lead.
That sounds like a good idea.
I agree.
Maybe the smaller of us, and I look around and realize I'm looking at myself, should take the cart.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I guess I'll go after Jean then, with Lancelot, since we're both relatively light.
So it's Jean, then Fel, Lancelot, then Eli. Were you going last, or?
Yeah, I think I would go last anyway, unless somebody tried to. I'm kind of just waiting to see what happens.
I'll go next then.
Okay. All right. So you all cross. And though you hear some resistance and the squeaking of boards from on your way across, you all manage to cross successfully, even with the cart. And you continue on. And you walk. And you walk in silence. And around you, you do not hear a bird. You do not hear any sound of wildlife. I need everyone to make a perception check for me, please.
15.
17.
14.
8.
2.
Eli, Jean, and Fel. You all three of you, as you're looking around, as you're walking, you see a wolf. Just the shadow, the silhouette. Deep in the forest. As you come up to the path, you see that its that its coat is golden. And even in the muted rays of sunlight that is clouded over, you can still, it almost seems to shimmer in the sunlight as if this wolf was made out of pure gold. And it watches you, and it follows beside you, neither coming any closer nor moving farther away.
Jean notices the wolf, tightens her gauntlets over her hands, looks back at you, Fel, and I think you'd also notice it as I pointed out to you. Jean says not much.
And Fel will look to Eli and imagine Eli is spotted by this point, and she'll just say, I think we should just keep going. Maybe it'll leave us alone.
I think it fell as you look back, you'd hear that sort of maybe not quite yet familiar sound, but just a slight sound of a latch and wood on wood hinge as I reach up and just slip righteous indignation out of that compartment on the top of my rucksack that's actually a wooden box.
Wooden chest.
Wooden chest. Semantics. And I just hold it. I just hold it at my side. You'd actually maybe hear that sort of hawking sound. Just being at the ready.
Wolves don't usually travel alone, Jean. Let's just keep going. Maybe pick up the pace a little bit.
You see any wolves around? And I start looking around.
She'll point to the golden wolf that's following us at a distance.
And because Fel pointed it out, both you, Anatoly, and Korla, who look, you can see.
Have I seen this before?
You have not, but both you and Jean have heard in the village of Barovia of a golden wolf who sits at the edge of town and doesn't walk into town, doesn't leave, but just simply watches as if it is looking over something. And it is not associated with the wolf attacks, as far as you know. You have never seen this golden wolf when the wolves have attacked the town. But you haven't seen it yourselves, but you have heard of these rumors. Many people say it is the devil Strahd himself. But those are just rumors.
Well, flame strip the flesh off a shifter. Is that a gold wolf? Heard rumors, but
it is. Let's hope the rumors are false. I would just say.
Let's hope there's no more of those. Don't know what those are.
What rumors have you heard about a golden wolf?
It just watches. It sits beside a town like Barovia and just watches, and now it's watching us.
Well, that's not frightening at all.
Watching or stalking.
Right, but me and John lived there for some time, and now it's following one of us. And I look at Irina, following one of us.
We should definitely pick up the pace then. Come on.
Right. Yep.
Irina would say, "You don't think those rumors are true?"
I mean, it's right there. They're not rumors anymore.
I mean about it being the devil Strahd.
What's that now?
Well, shit. Look,
some
we should
people
just
who
keep moving. But
Right.
yeah, keep talking, Arena. Tell us about this. But let's move.
No, you're right. You're right. They're just silly rumors. There are some people who believe that is Strahd himself.
I don't think he would just stalk us like that. He would come in and either attack us or do something worse.
You're right. You're right. I don't think it is him. I've never seen him in any other form, but... well, whatever you human like.
What?
Well, I mean, you can hardly call what he is human.
Right. Have you seen him in any other form then?
No, I don't. I haven't. What I've seen him in has all been just memories. Almost a dream. If it wasn't for, and she just kind of like idly almost puts a hand up to her neck before she thinks better of it, and she forces her hand down. Well, if it wasn't for that, I would have thought they were just nightmares. So, you walk, and you see the sun begin to dip, and dusk begin to fall over the road as you enter into an even more wooded area. Tall trees just surround the wood until you don't know where you started. You can't even see where you entered the trees, and you cannot see where the trees end. In the middle of the road, you see this lump standing, like laying on the road. You can't tell what it is at first, but you see this faint glow and little dots of light coming from this thing. It is right in the middle of the road. Do you approach it? Do you stop? It is very difficult to see in the dark.
I would caution, just sort of hold out a hand, everybody. And with my pepper box in hand, I will slowly approach.
Wait, don't. Just stop for a moment.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Stop for a moment, damn it. Give me a second. And Fell's going to kind of concentrate for a moment, sweat kind of beating on her brow. And for a moment, she's afraid it doesn't work. But then slowly, this teal-colored spectral hand emerges from her own hand, and it starts to drift toward the lump. She's just going to lightly kind of pat it with her mage hand. Just pat.
It doesn't move.
The mage hand will try to grab it gently. It can only lift about 10 pounds.
Yeah, it looks much too heavy for that. It actually looks closer to like 60 or 70 pounds. But you can pull off the small glowing bit that seems to be protruding now out of this form.
Can she see what it is with her vision of darkness, dark vision?
If you bring it closer, yes. It is, like, if you bring it a little bit closer, just enough so that you can see, it appears to be a glowing mushroom.
Interesting. And actually, to clarify, she does actually have eyes of the dark, which gives her dark vision out to 120 feet. So she should be able to get a general idea of what this thing looks like.
Yes, absolutely. So actually you can see a lot more. It looks to be some sort of animal that is laying on the ground. You can see a snout of a pig or a boar, but it looks to be about that.
does it look like it's rotted excessively, or it just has these glowing mushrooms sprouting from it for some reason?
It looks like its innards are splayed out, and these glowing mushrooms seem to be growing out of its splayed intestines and ribs.
So Fel would have the mage hand kind of float the glowing mushroom past Eli, and then just kind of drop it on the ground as the mage hand fades. And she says, a little breathy, it's some sort of, just kind of peer at it. It's some sort of animal. It looks like its innards have been splayed out on the ground, and there's mushrooms, these glowing mushrooms around it, I guess. It looks,
Yeah.
That's odd.
I imagine I could see that as well with dark vision.
You have to get a little bit closer than Fel, but yeah, eventually you would see it as well.
I actually would like to continue to move towards it. I want to try to see if I can get a sense of, I mean, if mushrooms are growing on it, this thing's probably been dead a while. But I just want to see
if they're necessarily growing on it. I think they may have been placed around it. Could Fel tell, Megan, if the mushrooms are actually growing from the thing, or if they were just sort of like placed around it or on it?
No, they look to be sprouting out of the animal. Yes.
Yeah, I want to get right up to this thing because I'm going to try to just see if I can determine if it looks like it was killed by something and just left, or if it's been ripped apart and scavenged, or just see if I can get a sense of what's going on here.
How close do you get to this thing?
Well, that's always a fun question. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to keep moving up to it, and so I'm probably going to get within a few feet of it as I'm trying to make an assessment.
So once you get to be within about 10 feet of this thing, you don't see it moving. You see that it has been dead for a few days. You see that it is rotted almost beyond recognition, save for the head, which seems to be fairly well intact. Just other than these mushrooms that grow out of it.
All right, guys.
That's all right. We're going to go to break soon anyway, so I'm just going to continue to explain this. I need you, Eli, to make a constitution saving throw.
All right. Oh, is this a poison effect?
No.
Yeah, great. That's going to be an 8.
You look down. You feel this tremendous pain in your arm. And you look down and you see that the skin is splitting on your arm and falling apart. And these blue mushrooms are beginning to sprout and grow.
This isn't right. And I would turn to the others, probably looking specifically for Fel. I think I made a mistake.
You fucking idiot!
So then, did you grab the mushroom and now it's growing on you? Is that what's happening?
I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, no, sorry. He just
I
walked.
didn't touch anything. Does this hurt?
Yes, you are in an immense amount of pain.
I mean, I would imagine it did, but I wanted to double check.
Yeah, and actually you take 5 points of slashing damage as this thing just kind of grows out of you. And as you're turning, Eli, you see this, or actually you don't see, but the others see these 2 glowing hands come out of the pig. They kind of reach around its ribs and its spleen, and you see this large, just mushroom beast with, it looks like it has like these mushroom spores all over its body, and it just opens its mouth wide. You see these sharp teeth, and it it screams. And the scream sounds like that of a woman. And that's where we're going to take a break.
All right.
Yeah, there's nothing good about this.
Nope.
No. So, thanks everyone for watching, and we will be back in about 10 minutes. So, take a break, go to the washroom, get some snacks, don't eat any mushrooms, and we will be right back. All right, and we are back, and we're going to fight a mushroom. And so, this thing towers over you, Eli. And you will get to act first. But I first need you to make a Constitution saving throw. This time, it is against being poisoned.
All right. Some of that dwarven resilience kicking in. Good thing, too, because I rolled a 5 and a 19. So that is going to be 23 on that Constitution save.
Okay, you see the mushrooms begin to pulsate with they seem to glow and dim, and you realize it's with the sound of your heartbeat that you can now hear within your ears. But it is your turn to act.
I imagine I'm seeing everybody else's reaction, what I take to be at my predicament at first, and then sort of feel the hairs on the back of my neck. And I would spin around to face this thing. And I am going to shoot it. I'm just checking. Yeah, I'm just going to shoot it this time, or attempt to.
Okay.
Just a straight shot. Son of a... All right, well, let's see. That's a 9 on the die. That's a 16 to hit with Righteous Indignation.
That is going to hit.
That's going to do... Great, a 1. It's going to do 4 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And yeah, I think I'm just going to do just that this round.
Okay. Sean.
How far away would the cart and the rest of the group be from this disgusting creature?
I would say about 40 feet.
All right. Well, she'll use her movement to close the distance, seeing Eli kind of blasting, with that righteous indignation, and seeing the great beast as she unsheathes her war pick, and she will dash to get closer to it as her action to finish that distance.
Okay. All right, Corla.
So, Jean, you're now within 5 feet of the thing? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So, Corla is going to knock an arrow on her bow and shoot it at the creature, but she's going to move a little bit away so she gets a better shot at it. So she's kind of going to the side a little bit. So that's how I'll use my movement to go to the side.
Okay.
And then I will shoot an arrow at this creature. Ooh, finally got a good roll on my die. That will be a 21 to hit.
That's a hit.
Okay, so that will be 8 piercing and 7 sneak attack. So total of 15.
Okay. All right, is that your turn?
That is all I can do, yes.
All right. Fell.
Wow, this thing must have rolled a shitty initiative. So Fell takes a moment, kind of her rage at Eli getting too close to this damn thing, combining with her terror of how horrifying and monstrous this looks. And she's barely able to just sputter out this teal-colored globe of fire from her hand, and it hurtles towards the creature with a 22 to hit.
That is a hit.
And I imagine, again, it's a very weak firebolt. She's distracted, she's angry, she's upset, she's afraid, and it only does 1 point of fire damage.
Even though you see it did very little damage, you can see that this thing reacted more so to the fire than to anything else put up to it so far. It seemed to almost shrug off the other attacks, but with your fire, it seemed to recoil to it a lot more.
I imagine seeing that for a moment, the anger which sort of went out in this tug of war between fear and anger, and Fel is actually going to back up another 20 feet and just kind of prepare herself to cast another one of these spells, seeing that the fire seems to be affecting the creature more than anything else, and that will end her turn.
Okay. Anatoly.
All right, so Anatoly sees Eli, notices that he moved faster than him, so he's able to. It seems that he's all right for the moment. He was going to try to help him with the hand, but instead he looks at the creature, strafes it a little bit. So I'm gonna move into a strafe, grab a javelin from my back, and just throw it at the thing as I try to get closer at the same time.
Okay.
So I move probably 20 feet strafing and then moving 10 back in, which probably put me around 15 around from the creature, and I'm going to throw this javelin at it for a whopping, let's see, that is a dirty 20.
That hits?
No,
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's a natural 20, my mistake.
Oh, perfect.
That's even better.
That's even better.
So let me do that. Sure. There we go. So that is 11, 12, 13, 14 plus the I am gonna, sorry I didn't say it, but I am gonna definitely rage. So that is 16 damage. Kind of right. Yeah.
What kind of damage?
It is piercing.
Okay.
So I throw the javelin at it as I get closer and begin grabbing my axe.
Okay. All right. This thing, you see it let out this, it points its maw, it's dripping with this translucent but almost glowing spittle. And it exhales, and you can see that there's this mist that comes out of its mouth. And I need everyone to make, not everyone. I need everyone within 30 feet, which I believe is Eli, Jean, and Anatoly, to make a Constitution saving throw.
Versus poison?
Versus poison, yes.
I got a 12.
Advantage is saving my ass. It's a 17.
I got a 13.
Okay. So.
That's what my saving throw looks like. Against breathing in.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. So, Jean and Anatoly, you take 20 points of poison damage.
Whew.
Eli, you take half that. 10.
Oh, boy.
And we're back up at the top to Eli.
Interjection.
Hi.
As I would like to use my reaction by being damaged by this creature.
Yes.
As it kind of lumbers and shifts its form and exhales this poisonous mist onto us, it's the brambles, not the brambles, like the hyphae and stuff that connect it will begin to almost like smoke and cinder in response to its action against me. I need it to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. I got a 14.
Right, so it's passing, so it's going to take half of this, which is, oh boy, 16 fire cut in half would be 8 points of fire damage.
It screams, it screeches, it cries out in this voice of this woman who sounds oddly familiar, yet you can't quite place her name or place her face. She seems like a stranger, but familiar to all of you, as this thing is now smoldering and slightly on fire. Now, Eli.
In the wake of breathing in all this toxic whatever and seeing the others around me that got hit harder with it, I'm a dwarf. I know I can withstand some of these poisons, but these non-dwarves, this thing's got to be dealt with quickly. And as I raise righteous indignation for another shot, I'm going to reach back and pull my warhammer off of my pack. I'm going to take a shot. That's going to be a 19 to hit.
That hits. Yep.
So the shot is going to do... where'd my damage bonus go? That's max damage, so that's 13 points of piercing damage. And then I'm going to bonus action swing at it with my warhammer, which I always mess this up. With 2-weapon fighting, you don't add your ability modifier to the damage, but you still add your normal modifiers on the attack.
Yes, you use your attack modifier as normal, but don't get any.
Yeah, I was actually reading
Nice.
from the D&D Beyond has a nice little 2-weapon fighting thing here. So I swing and good Lord. I'm going to whiff completely because that was a 2 on the die, so it's only going to be a 7. But I'm going to try to, as I miss swinging towards this thing, I mean, this is just more flavor than anything. As I miss with my left hand swinging the warhammer, I'm swinging my right hand up. I'm going to action surge and take another shot, which I need to real quick. So that's one, and then another one. I got to keep track of my bullets there. So this shot is the second shot's going to be an 18 to hit.
That also hits.
And then that's going to be 7 more points of piercing damage as another echoes through the forest. And that's all I got left for this round.
All right, Jean, a path of flaming mushroom and glowing spittle lays between you and this thing.
Those around can, if you had like a an X-ray or whatever, you could see that the poison would be like hitting, coursing through the veins of Jean, and going to where her heart is, and the sound of a heartbeat begins to still continue to be silenced, though her eyes begin to glow a strange reddish color, a crimson, you could say, as she glares at this creature of fungus and mold, placing a blood curse upon it by casting the hex spell, and then attacking it with her warpick. So I think the hex spell, I think you guys make a save? Nope, no save. Cool. Nice. So I'm choosing strength for its ability to attack with this, or sorry, to use a disadvantage on ability checks with it. And I roll a 17 to hit.
That is a hit.
All right, so it's going to do 6 points of necrotic plus 7 points of piercing for 13 total.
Yep.
Sorry, 8 points total. Oh, sorry, 8 plus 6, 14.
Right. Okay.
That is my turn.
All right. Corla.
How badly does Jean look like she's hurt at this point?
Surprisingly, she seems still invigorated
Okay,
and not faltering.
not faltering. If that's the case, because she spares the time to look over at Jean to do that. Seeing that she's not faltering, she will then Corla will then knock another arrow and shoot this creature. Oh, nat 20.
Woohoo!
Okay, so I'm sorry, how do you do your crits?
I do them the same way as Jake, which is max damage first and then roll again.
Okay, max damage and then roll. And then add mods?
Yes.
I do sneak attack. Is a sneak attack maxed on the max? Or that's
Yes.
added?
No,
Okay.
it's max on the max.
Okay.
It's on the max.
Okay, so that's a lot of math. Okay, just 18 plus 10 plus. So that'll be 32 points of piercing.
Okay. Okay. And are you moving anywhere? Or are you just gonna stay there?
I'm gonna stay right where I'm at. Yeah.
All right. And Fel.
Fel is going to kind of move over to where the cart is. Actually, no, I think she moved past the cart already. So she's going to move back another 10 feet just to keep herself away from this thing. Does a 13 hit?
A 13 does not hit. No.
Okay, so I imagine, again, just overcome by the rage at this thing. They can't seem to catch a break. She just kind of gestures with her hand, and all that comes out is this puff of smoke and a little bit of teal-colored fire as the spell completely fails to be properly cast, and that will be it for her turn.
Right. Anatoly.
All right, as I am roughly 15 feet away from this thing, and I start coughing because I have some of those spores in my system. Grab my axe and just get closer, get all the way into attack him.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Oh, and that's a 12.
A 12 does not hit.
Damn, so you have my axe, bam, and slam it right into the ground.
All right. So this thing arches its long neck, rears back from the flame that is now smoldering, and exhales again, releasing poison. And I need Eli, Jean, and Anatoly to make Constitution saving throws against being poisoned.
There you go. That's a dirty 20 for Jean.
13 for Eli.
That is a 15 for me.
All right. So, Eli, you take... Oh, gosh. You are going to take 24 points of poison damage.
Halved for being a dwarf.
And the rest of you, well, take half that. So Jean and Anatoly, you are going to take 12.
Got it. I take 6 because of raging. Because I'm bear.
Yep.
Totem.
Yeah, bear.
Yeah.
All right, we're back up to Eli.
At this point, I think I'm the same kind of as just about everybody around here. I'm coughing at these this spore spray, whatever this is, just why won't you just die? And I'm going to spend a grit point to take a trick shot at it, and that's going to be a winging shot.
Cool.
So what that's going to do is first I got to see if I hit it. With an 18 on the die and a +7 to hit, that's a 25.
That is a hit.
It needs to, in addition to the damage, it needs to make a strength saving throw, DC 13.
Okay. It failed with a 4.
And it's going to take 10 points of piercing damage and be knocked prone because the winging shot, I imagine I aim it so that it hits it kind of in the hip and sort of takes its foot out from under it, spinning it around and knocking it prone.
So you see it fall. But as it does so, you can see that it just keeps expanding up from the pig's body. Longer and longer. As the top half of it falls, it begins to grow higher and higher, and it just springs back up, now twice as tall as it was. Still up.
Well, shit. And I mean, I'm right up on this thing. I'm gonna take another bonus action, swing at it with my offhand weapon, and that's gonna be a 16 to hit.
That is a hit.
And let's see, the Warhammer does 1d8 with no mod. Oh, an 8. Max damage. 8 points of bludgeoning damage with the Warhammer.
All right.
This isn't looking too good, y'all. And in case that's not clear enough, it looks bad.
No shit.
Jean.
Right.
John continues to stare at this thing with scarlet crimson eyes, emotion gone. She brings down the war pig again for another strike. That's going to be 23 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
For 3 necrotic and 9 piercing.
Man, I put this into Google to be for my little mini calculator, and it gave me a Revelation verse instead.
Now you
Maybe
gotta
make a
read
note
it.
of that
What is
verse.
it?
It might be prophetic.
Yeah.
It means your mushroom creature is now going to hell.
It says, it will be located in the new heaven and the new earth that God will create after destroying the old.
Well,
Exactly.
We're screwed. We're screwed.
This is the Messiah now. This is our prophet.
I don't know, man.
This is the bringer of the end right here.
That was so weird. It's just like, oh, here's a Revelations quote.
That's funny.
Okay, there we go.
That is the extent of my turn.
Okay,
Sorry, no. Hold up. So, actually, yeah, it is. Never mind. Yep, that's the end.
cool, awesome. Corla.
So, does this thing look hurt? Like
It is extremely withered and hurt. You can see that it is singed in a lot of places. It has these slash marks that are oozing with this translucent goo. So yes, it is very hurt.
Okay, then she is going to, and Jean still looks invigorated.
She's up there, smacking away.
Okay, so she's going to take another shot at this creature.
Yep,
That will be a 23 to hit.
that is a hit.
Okay. So that'll be 14 points of piercing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue to stay where I'm at.
All right. Fel.
So Vel will, this time she reaches for the rune-carved bone shard hanging at her belt, the focus that she still has since she hasn't had a chance to attune to the one Madam Eva gave her. And she thrusts it forward with a 19 to hit as this pea-sized bolt of teal-colored fire kind of zips off towards this thing. I'm assuming a 19 hits, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. And as it hits, I imagine it kind of explodes in this cloud of smoke and teal-colored fire. She does a total of 9 points of fire damage.
And you can describe to me how you kill this thing.
Nice. So I imagine as she kind of points the focus at this awful withered thing, she sees the mushrooms kind of sprouting from Eli's arm. She sees Anatoly and Eli and I think Jean as well, coughing a little bit from the spores. And she's just overcome by anger. Her eyes flood with black as the chaos bolt slams into the creature and it just blows a hole, like a fist-sized hole in this thing's torso. It kind of wobbles, and then just falls back onto the ground.
It falls down, and immediately, as soon as it's on the ground, it shrivels up and disappears back into the corpse of the pig. Jean, where are the mushrooms growing in your body?
I think that they caught on to that hole in her breastplate. So maybe a moldy growth that kind of now is happening over where someone's heart would be. Even in over the metal and even deeper inside too.
And Anatoly, same goes for you. Where are the mushrooms growing out?
So it's weird because it's growing out of some places, but as he notices them, as he looks at them, they go back into his skin and they no longer show. So I'm keeping them inside.
All right. They grow back inside, but you can still see they glow. This
Okay.
bluish.
Show my skin.
Yeah, through your skin, they glow. They're just underneath it. Same with you, Jean. These mushrooms glow in the same way that Eli's did, or do, on his arm still. Right. The sun has set. It is pitch black. What would you guys like to do?
The darkness is immediately broken by as I light a torch from my pack, and I'm going to set fire to this pig carcass, or attempt to.
You do so, and it lights quicker than you would have thought. And it begins to burn in this bluish light. And it smells horrible. Like burning flesh, rotting mushrooms, and hair.
I'm going to take... In the light of this fire, I'm going to open up my leather armor. That's actually, my armor is sort of almost like a trench coat, sort of like a long coat. And underneath this is where I had put on that multicolored robe, almost like a lining to the jacket, leather armor. And I'm sort of pulling it apart, and I'm looking, and I see a patch. I'm going to grab this patch, and as I pull this patch, instead of a patch, I'm holding a dagger in my hand. And I'm going to take this dagger and grit my teeth, and I'm going to try and see what happens if I try to cut one of these mushrooms off of my arm.
It hurts. It's as if you are cutting off your own skin. That is the kind of pain that you feel as you feel like these mushrooms have just meshed into your nervous system. and you can get it off if you grit through the pain, but you do take 2 points of slashing
It
damage.
as in a mushroom, or it as in all of the fungal growth?
A mushroom.
I suspected as much, but
You have... Oh, actually, that was the only mushroom. I rolled a d6, and there was only one. I would say it was one rather large mushroom, and the hyphae, it was all kind of growing together. So as soon as you cut off, and you were lucky enough that you cut off the main one, and as you pull it off, this huge string of other mushrooms connected together with hyphae just come pulling, oozing out of your skin.
I'm so I imagine this is quite a scene for everybody else as I'm just sitting there in the road after burning this pig, doing this, and then almost immediately pulling another torch out, and I'm going to light this other torch and just hold this dagger in the torchlight and sear the wound. Even if I take more damage, I'm searing the wound from this with a heated dagger. Where my torches?
What kind of damage what kind of dice damage
Honestly,
do you
if
think?
it were me, Megan, I would probably deal either 1d4 or 1d6 of fire damage, since I'm deliberately burning myself.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So that's going to be 2 points of fire damage.
And this is all, I mean, I'm trying to do this relatively quickly, and then immediately taking the torch that I used to heat up my dagger and the dagger, I'm going to head over to Sean.
And following your cue, Eli, Jean has already begun to unclasp this breastplate that she wears and has doffed it probably by the time you're done dealing with your wound.
How much mushrooms are there?
Jean is not as lucky as you. She has 4. You can see these. You recognize them as 4 of these large stalks with a ton of little ones underneath. But you feel like with the last one, if you take off these large stalks, you should be able to take out the other smaller ones as well.
As I'm getting ready to do this treatment, I'm going to call over Anatoly, and I'm looking at the other ones. Fel, Corla, you got any of these things growing on you? What about you, Anatoly?
Anatoly looks a little alarmed at first, but looks at his body. Right. Mine just look odd, and then he flips them back out and says, "Oh, there they are. They're growing." And clearly,
all right, so
I'm
here's what I'm gonna do. As Sean has already started to pull back and reveal hers, I'm holding I take the torch and I jam it into the earth alongside the road here, and I reach over as I'm holding the dagger. I'm sort of looking through, and then I find one of these other patches, and you can kind of see in the firelight it's a circle, and it has what looks like a vial indicated on it. And I sort of lean down low towards the ground as I pull this, and you immediately hear this sort of ting 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 of 4 bottles clanging together. I immediately pop the cork, and tip back one of the 4 healing potions that I withdrew. And just because I want to make sure I'm still conscious to help the others, that's 8 points of healing from that. And then I'm going to hold another bottle out of these bottles to you, Sean. I pop the cork, hand it to you. Wait, either during or after. This is going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And I'm going to take that red hot dagger and start to cut off to try to remove these mushrooms from Jean.
So you are able to remove all of the mushrooms and cauterize the wound but Jean is going to take 8 points of slashing damage and 2 points of fire damage.
Yeah, in between the slashing and the cauterizing. In between the slashing, Jean will kind of ask you to pause for a second as she is like wincing in the pain of it all. And then she just opens her eyes again and just cracks, and there's a weird kind of sickening crunch of like maybe her spine or something. And she's like, all right, let's go again. As she uses a casting of false life in between these actions to mitigate the damage that I'm being dealt. So it's 8 and then 2?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And then if you haven't already done so, when I'm done, I'm going to just sort of grab the bottle that's in your hand and sort of push it towards your mouth. Drink it.
And surprisingly, Jean doesn't seem that poor off for stamina at this point. She'll snatch it from, hold your hand to not have you pour it down her throat, and then recork it. Not yet. I'm fine.
All right, well, hold on to that then.
Well,
she'll pocket it.
And that is a standard healing potion.
Nice.
While they're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and put my knife on the fire too and start cutting my own as well.
One thing you've noticed, Eli, as I alluded before in the camp scene, that Jean's torso is completely wrapped in these almost like black tarry bandages that kind of been soaked through. You probably have to remove to even get at the proper mushroom growths. And Jean would immediately go to some distant area to rebandage herself.
Megan, would I be able to determine anything from this as I'm treating her?
Like, what are you trying to determine?
Well, I mean, if she's got these weird bandages, would I be able to recognize that there's some kind of a wound or disease or aesthetic?
Absolutely. I think that you would be able to discern from even seeing the bandages that there is something different. She's bandaging it up for a reason.
I think, though, that having seen Jean perform in the way she has, there might be this moment where I sort of hesitate as I'm treating her to, as I move these bandages slightly and just sort of look at her. And then once she's treated, I'll maybe give one last glance, and then I won't say, out of respect, I don't say anything. Whatever this is doesn't seem to be hindering her thus far, and it's just this sort of, unspoken thing between us. And then I'm going to turn to Anatoly, who is apparently already cutting his out. And I'm just going to be standing at the ready with another one of these healing potions.
So, Anatoly, you also have 4 of these mushrooms, or large mushroom stalks. You are going to take 12 points of slashing damage from ripping these out. And if you do cauterize it, it's going to be an extra 2 points of fire damage.
Let's do it. So Anatoly clearly in pain, but gritting his teeth, and he ends up, biting one of his lips, and blood comes out, and he just sucks it in and just continues to finish the job. But you're watching Eli, you notice that the mushrooms that he had as he was getting closer, they almost like they were inside his skin, and they come out of his skin like they were hiding inside, unlike the ones you had. But he, they're outside now, so he begins cutting them one by one, and then just kind of like gritting his teeth the whole time, and he'll look at one of the potions, but doesn't ask for it.
You don't have to ask for it. I'll hold it out to you, and if you need it, you can take it.
I do, and grab it and take it.
All right, standard healing potion, 2d4 plus 2. with the last remaining healing potion and having dealt with these two over these few minutes, I'll turn to Corla and Fel. Sorry. I think we got the worst of it. Either you two hurt.
No, we're fine. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm looking
Drink-
down at this sort
Drink
of...
another one if you need it.
I imagine this shiny burn scar from the dagger from cauterizing the wound. Well, I mean, if we're going to rest up, I'll save this. If we're going to rest up, I can tend to my wounds. Are you sure you two are all right?
And Fel just nods slowly.
All right, well, if we need it, and I will pocket that remaining healing potion.
We should probably get away from here. We don't want to be close to that thing.
We're caught out exactly where we're not supposed to be.
Right.
Outside at night in the middle of a forest where it's even dark during the day. And we've already been set upon by this. I'm not having good thoughts about how this night's going to go.
Doesn't
We
hurt
need to get us
move.
some kind of camping gear.
It doesn't hurt to move away from the scene of the battle, though. We should head
No,
back the way we
you're right.
came.
I agree. I don't know how much of more of those things in the air there are. They're all over us and all over our throats. Who knows how close others of its kind are.
We need to keep an eye on each other. Corla, Fel, you need to keep an eye on all three of us. All of us were affected by, well, whatever this was. I don't like it.
Right. Then let's move now before more of these things come.
Let's.
And
So you got-
Go ahead.
Sorry, you guys are moving back the way you came?
Wait,
think
no,
so.
we're going to continue to move towards.
We should move in the way we were moving.
Correct.
Why,
Towards
why
Vallaki.
not? We know back that way is relatively safe. We have no idea what's ahead. There could be more of those things if we keep going forward. Wouldn't it be better to wait until morning?
Well, it didn't do nothing until
you
Well, I
got
got
too
up on it.
close.
No,
So
we're
maybe we
safe.
go back because we know that there's nothing back there.
Nothing's going to stop anything from going back there.
Right, but we'll have watches. We'll be alert. We have no idea what lies ahead. We have a general idea of the terrain behind us. Let's go back. Just a little bit.
To be perfectly honest, I think
Makes
she's
you
right,
feel better.
Anatoly.
It makes you feel better. Understood.
It does not make me feel better, but let's go back.
All right.
I think we need to go at least should go at least a quarter mile or so
I agree.
away from this thing.
Make it-
Anatoly, Sean, you guys can't see anything, can you? Without this.
Not much.
All right, hold on. It looks like I got I'm already getting a bit of use out of this gift from Madam Eva. I think I saw something on here might help out. Hold on. And I'm going to pull another patch off that as soon as it comes off, light begins to illuminate the area around us. Let me just add this real quick. As I have just pulled a bullseye lantern out, it sheds bright light in a 60-foot cone and dim for another 60 feet and will burn for 6 hours. I'm going to hold it out to either Sean or Anatoly. If one of you, I mean, I can carry it if you want, but
I
I
look
can
at
see
it.
pretty good.
I look at it for a second and I repeat what you said. You got that from Madam Eva.
Well, yeah.
And I reluctantly grab it with my left hand. That's like I still have my axe hefted on my shoulder with my right. I
All
take
right,
it.
it's just a standard bullseye lantern with those
Nothing
properties.
standard with that woman.
Well, that healing potion came from this too,
Yeah,
and the dagger.
right. Thus, I'm thinking about that too. Let's go.
Fel will move to kind of the forefront of the group, maybe not right at the front, but towards the front, since she can see further in the dark. And she'll just kind of keep an eye out for anything that looks like more clusters of these glowing mushrooms or rotting animal corpses or anything along those lines.
You don't find anything? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think Corla's going to actually be in the back, letting the three who had been hurt and are hurt be in the middle, and so she'll be guarding the rear because she also can see in the dark, so she can see hopefully things coming up behind them if there is any.
And I'll try to position myself in the middle, behind Anatoly, so the lantern doesn't fuss with my night vision too much. And I'm just going to try to keep an eye on our flanks as we're moving back, just kind of scanning left and right. You got us all paranoid.
Megan, quick question. Before we move away, I want to get a quick glance at the thing and see if I can roll a survival or something on that.
What was once a pig, just
Yes.
now roast pig. Yes.
All right, I got disadvantage on this still, I'm assuming. So that is a 7, so plus 3 is 10.
You might have been able to tell more about it before it was burnt, but it's pretty charred because of what Eli did. It just lit up like a match, so there's not much left.
And I don't spend too much time studying. I just quickly glance at it to see if I can tell and then move on.
Yep. So you guys move back. The forest is silent again. And you move back about a quarter mile. And then do you guys set up camp?
Yeah. Imagine we just kind of maybe find like a small clearing, pull the cart into the middle, and Fel will look to the others and say, I'll take first watch with somebody else. And she'll look to you, Eli, for a moment.
Yeah, I'll take watch too.
I'll grab the next one.
Jean will take the middle watch then.
All right. You been waiting all day to see what you got to say, Phil.
And she'll wait till the others have sort of bedded down. I imagine, I know Corla's a wood elf, so she's probably trancing or what have you. And Fel will just find a tree and kind of sit down at the base and just look at you, Eli, kind of sitting down on your level, if you're level-ish, if you're standing. How do you feel?
Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, kind of feel like shit.
You should. But you can tell, like, she doesn't mean it. It's hard to probably see in the dark, but I imagine we have some kind of light source, whether it's the lantern or a campfire or something like that. But her face is paler than usual. She says, I'm confused because you seem so, and she looks around at the others, you seem so worldly and experienced. And her eyes flick back to you, Eli, but you keep making these incredibly stupid decisions. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to offend you. Please don't think that. But this group relies on you. I don't know if you meant to have that happen. I don't know if it was your intention. Even if it wasn't, we do. I mean, think about it. Anatoly told me when we were on our way to the Vistani camp that the reason he's following you is because he had a dream. He had the same dream multiple times of you wreathed in smoke, and he feels the need to follow you. Corla is following us because I'm assuming we saved her from the Durst house and she doesn't really have anywhere else to go. Also, although Jean says she's coming with us to get to Vallaki, I think she's really here for Carla. And I trust you, Eli. I meant what I said before in that basement. I have your back, but you, between the situation with Stanimir on the road and now this is, you could have died. What would have happened if you died?
This wasn't supposed to happen. You just won't let me not wear this mantle. And you realize I'm not really talking to you, Phil. I'm just sort of talking to the air. You're right, Phil. What I did, I'm not even going to try to justify any possible other outcomes. What I did, what I've been doing, has been foolish and selfish. I haven't been acting like somebody that others are following or looking up to or dependent on. Truth be told, I didn't ever want people relying on me again. I came up north this way, wherever in the nine hells we are now.
Probably not Faerun, probably not even Toril anymore.
But when I came up north to Daggerford, when I was traveling, I met Oscar on the road coming up from Greenest. Now, Greenest is quite a ways south, and I've been traveling for a couple years. I don't know if you in Daggerford, if you caught wind of what happened down that way a couple years ago. There was a dragon that attacked Greenest. It wasn't alone. It wasn't entirely an unprovoked attack. There was, the whole town this one night had been overrun. Just it came out of nowhere. The dragon attacked, and then these cultists, people that worship the dragon, they started attacking everywhere, setting fire to the houses and capturing some people, killing some people in the streets. There were kobolds everywhere. It was a nightmare. It was as if a rift to the abyss had opened up and started spilling forth the denizens into our town, into my town. And believe it or not, I wasn't really anybody back then. I was a pastor of a small church of farmers. There were a bunch of people. We were all just farmers and people trying to get by, taking the bounty that Shantea laid before us each season, offering up our tithes and our praise. And when the town fell under siege, many came to the church seeking refuge, to the temple of Shantea. And I ushered them in. I ushered so many in to what was supposed to be a sanctuary. And you'd see almost absent-mindedly as my hand just starts working around towards an inner pocket, and I pull out this You've seen it before, this worn prayer journal. The pages around the edges and the leather cover is singed, burned. Well, I had about 30, 40 people. Well, I say 30, 40. I know for a fact it was 37. Men, women, and children that all looked up to my guidance, to Shantea, and as they all sought protection in that sanctuary that night, those cultists barred the doors from the outside. They set fire to that church. They set enough fire that the timbers went up quick. The very stone itself started to burn. The glass. Have you ever seen stained glass melt into slag? But it wasn't the temple, the church that I was worried about. We had nowhere to go. And I watched as the timbers of that temple to Shantea, burning timbers, entire columns, flaming stone, molten glass began to rain down on all of us. The next day, I was the only one that they pulled alive out of the rubble. 37 men, women, and children, all of them who relied on me and Shantea for protection and sanctuary. They're all dead. Every one of them. And at this point, the book is open. And you see in whatever this flickering light of this fire or lantern or whatever, as my fingers are tracing 37 names written into the margins and in between paragraphs on this Shantea prayer journal. There's even a couple of new names that have been added. Oscar, the Everchild, a couple others we've met along the way. It wasn't long after that I left Greenest. A lot of people did, to be honest. I'm not even sure what remains of the town, but I left that town, the ashes, and I thought I left the ghosts of all 37 of those folk behind. And I thought I left Shantea behind. But it seems almost as if even wherever it is that we are here, Shantea seems to be persisting. So, and I move my thumb along the right margin of this other page, and at the bottom of the list, there's a line that had been drawn, and there's some additional names that are written, separated from those of the dead. Sean, Felitha, Corla, Anatoly. There's room for more on there. Truth be told, it's been a few days now. I've been feeling like, regardless of the path that I wanted to take, hunting down the evil and the monsters that would belittle people, Shantae never truly let me go. I don't know what your beliefs on any type of religion may be, Phil. But I feel like even now, Shantae is using you to speak to me. I don't know. I don't know if you bargained for an old dwarf to be spilling out his heart to you this night, but just know it didn't fall on deaf ears, and I hear what you're saying, Phil, and I'm gonna do better to keep an eye on all of you, keep you safe.
She would reach out slowly, her hand sort of shaking, kind of lay her hand on top of your hand as you're kind of running your right hand over the names. And she would squeeze your hand and she says, you said it yourself. We all make our own decisions. We all make our own choices. I'm not asking you to keep us all safe. What I'm asking, and honestly, I don't think it's Shantae. I think it's you, who you are. You're a good man, Eli. And I know you want to help people. And I am so sorry to hear what happened to Greenest. I had heard rumors, I'd heard stories, but this isn't home. This land, I think it was either you or Anatolia, you said it yourselves, this land is corrupted. There are good people here, but my biggest concern, and that's what it is, it's a concern. This isn't a criticism. This isn't me saying that you're not doing what you're supposed to, but it's something to think about. And I don't want to retread this argument, but she squeezes the hand a little tighter. Stanimir lied to us. It was a lie of omission, but it was a lie. I asked him before we walked through the stone gates of Barovia, Stanimir, after we see Madam Eva, can I go home? And he said yes, but failed to mention the only potential way to do that would be to kill someone, Eli. A monster, a man, whatever he is, whatever Strahd is. Madam Eva is convinced that that is the only way we're going to get back home. And her, I imagine she kind of loosens her grip a little bit, and you see her right index finger sort of tracing around the Everchild's name. If Stanimir hadn't lied, the Everchild would not have been in a position to do what he did. I would not have lost, and her hand starts to shake, control of my body for several hours to the disembodied spirit of a 6-year-old boy. And I know Thorn didn't really know what he was doing, but he made a choice. Just like Father Donovich made a choice. Do you see what I'm talking about? We keep trying to help people. I'm not saying we should. We absolutely should. And her hand would go back to yours, Eli. We should try and help people. But we have to be smarter about it, because almost every time we've tried to help someone else, we've gotten fucked in the end. And what I'm afraid of is that someone is going to die because of it, because we're not going to be smart enough. We're not going to be clever enough to see through whatever ruse or facade that person that we're trying to help is putting up to deceive us. We know that some of the Vistani are working for Strahd. Stanimir was probably working for Strahd. And don't take this the wrong way. We were all fooled. You, me, Oscar, Gleowin, the Everchild. But we have to be smarter about this. Not just you, all of us. But you are a good person. You're the foundation. That's why people follow you. That's why I do. It's why I trust you. And I do trust you. And she kind of smiles a little awkwardly. She doesn't seem entirely comfortable doing this, but if you make a stupid decision, I'm absolutely going to call you on it. So don't think you're just going to get to call all the shots. That's not how this works.
I reach out with my other hand. My right hand is still sort of gripping the page, and your hand sitting on top of it. And with my left hand, you feel this sort of meaty, calloused hand on top of yours. And you see tears, just the wet, not like full on tears, but just the wetness in the eyes reflecting in the light. You're good people too, Phil. And I trust you. And you've helped me to realize something. You're absolutely right. That I need to be aware
We all do.
that others are looking up, and I need to realize that I'm not smart enough to make all the decisions on my own, nor do I need to. And neither are you. But together, you, me, Corla, Anatoly, Sean, we can do our damnness to get out of here. And I can tell you, you better call me on my bullshit.
Always.
And if we see Stanimir again, it will not go the way it just went most recently.
It was very nice of you to help him with his wagon, but you absolutely should have punched him in the face at the very least.
Well,
maybe more the crotch, since that's more on your level.
My focus was elsewhere, and I can see a lot more clearly now, Phil. Thank you. And for as long as you would sit there, I imagine I would just sit there kind of with my hand, your hand sort of lightly, not like forcing it, but just sort of lightly sandwiched between my two hands, just listening probably to the rhythmic breathing of the others, or snoring, or whatever other night sounds there may be.
And she would leave her hand there, and towards the end of the watch, she would just say, I know I said before that Lancelot was the one good thing that came out of me coming here, and he's still pretty great. And she looks over at Lancelot, who I imagine is kind of curled up, sleeping somewhere nearby. But I'm glad I met you, Eli Lancaster. Even if we don't, she hesitates, even if we don't make it out.
Well, I'm glad I met you, Philith Daggerverd.
Just fell, please.
Fell. And I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure we do make it out.
Me too.
That was good.